It's the mid-1980s. The Frankfurt Motor Show of 1985 is approaching fast. Lamborghini has the Countach and Ferrari has the Testarossa. But Porsche has only their good old 911. Something new has to come out, something unique, and most importantly, it has to be something that outsteals the spotlight from the rest of the Italian manufacturers. So here's an idea. Why not use the 911 and create something out of it that blows people's minds? In the past 5 decades, Porsche had already faced a lot of losses. Their company had been on the verge of shutting down more times than they imagined, and finally, the new 911 was gaining traction. This was the perfect time to take calculated risks and pump out cars that would put their competitors to shame. However, there wasn't much to go on with. They had already spent millions to develop the new chassis for the 911, so there was just one option. Use the same chassis, but build it into an entirely different beast. And then, the newly appointed leader, Peter Schulz, and the designing mastermind Helmut Bott developed a new strategy. Modify, adapt, and create the most unique and high-tech car of the time. Hence, the Porsche 959 was born. Now, from its inception, the 959 was never meant to clinch the world's fastest car title. Lamborghini and Ferrari were already in that race, and Porsche wasn't willing to step into that mess. However, practicality, reliability, and high performance were top priorities for Porsche. Along with that, Porsche needed to get into the latest automobile technology, such as automatic height controls, all-wheel drive features, and much more. Therefore, the 959 was not supposed to be a supercar, but more of a technology study. Sales of the newly revived 911, along with the 924 and 944 series, were booming. The company finally started getting some money in the bank, which raised hopes. At least they could comfortably fund the research and development area. But the expenses exceeded their expectations, hitting north of $100 million at the time. At this point, Porsche made the final decision. If they're going to go all out and pump a buttload of money into this new project, it better be a damn good car. To begin with, they decided to bombard the car with new technology. A 4-wheel drive system, chassis modifications, and advanced features like power steering and a height control system were all planned to be added. Each step was carefully planned, keeping in mind that Porsche did not just have to add features, they also needed to make sure that every one of those features was reliable. The development stage began. Helmut Bott used the 911's monocoque chassis and added some twists to it. The tracks were widened, the rear end modified to be more aerodynamic and fit the new engine, and the whole chassis covered with Kevlar. On the other hand, Lamborghini and Ferrari were using the lighter tubular space frame chassis. This meant that Porsche was not looking for a weight reduction, but instead, they were going for a more rugged and newly undestroyable car. Nevertheless, it was mystical. For the engine, something unique was chosen. The Porsche 956, which was the Le Mans car from a couple years ago, boasted a flat-six water-cooled 2,849cc engine. It produced insane power, and since it had won the Le Mans endurance race, its reliability was already well established. The structure of the engine was also crazy. Aluminum alloy head and block, aluminum forged pistons, titanium conrods, 2 camshafts in each bank driving 4 valves per cylinder, and drive sump lubrication. Everything was operated using the Bosch Mototronic management system, making the engine one of the most high-end and reliable at the time. The engine also came with 2 KKK turbochargers, although relatively small, but the engineering behind it made them work wonders. They were arranged to operate sequentially, which increased the response under 4,000 RPM. The exhaust gas was not enough to run both turbos at the same time, and therefore, all of the gas was fed to just one turbo. Because of this, the turbocharger operated earlier than any other turbocharger available. As soon as the car went above 4,000 RPM, the second turbo started to pre-spin. At 4,200 RPM, the second turbo also started, and both turbochargers worked simultaneously. This produced a boost that pumped out 450 horses. This was dangerously close to Countach's quoted figure of 455 horsepower, making the 959 the second highest horsepower producing road legal car. However, the torque was quite disappointing. The Ferrari F40 produced 425 pounds of torque, while the 959 only gave 369 at 5,500 RPM. Thankfully, the torque delivery was quite linear, making up for the deficiency. Lastly, to compensate for the missing torque further, Porsche used a specially developed Borg-Warner 6-speed gearbox. This helped the 959 comfortably make its way up to its insane top speed of nearly 200 miles per hour, guys, and break down. Finally, the prototype was ready. The 959 dream had turned into a reality. Yes, it needed some more testing and tweaking, but in essence, a majestic car was ready for the world to see. Porsche was excited. The hopes were high, and unlike their past experiments, the 959 had absolutely no chance of failing. In 1983, Porsche officially unveiled the 959 prototype at the Frankfurt Motor Show. They called it Porsche Group B instead of the 959. As soon as the veil was off, the audience went crazy. Porsche's latest prototype turned heads and shocked everyone. Its body was beautiful and its features were absolutely insane. The aerodynamic shape made the car look something like out of the future. Everyone had one thought: this is a show car. It's not made to be driven because it's just that beautiful. Little did the world know, Porsche had other plans in mind. Within the next 2 years, they were going to bring out the Porsche 959 for the public, although in limited quantity, but still, it would be seen on the road. At the 1985 Frankfurt Motor Show, Porsche unveiled the final prototype, this time named the Porsche 959. The name immediately caught everyone's attention, and people gathered in massive crowds to get a peek at the car. Porsche was ecstatic to see their response, but hidden behind the smiley faces was a lot of tension. The 959's 4x4 system was problematic. It constantly broke down, requiring a ton of repairs and modifications. Porsche had already promised to start deliveries within the year, but given the new problems, it was impossible to put the cars up for sale. After the Frankfurt Motor Show, Porsche immediately went back to fixing the issues. The newly developed 4x4 was complex, and each step required engineers to spend countless hours fixing it. Because of this, the production of the Porsche 959 was significantly delayed. Moreover, they had to build two different variants, Comfort and Sport. Finally, in 1987, the deliveries of the street variant Comfort began. The car costed a wild $225,000, which is a pretty insane price tag, right? But there's more to this. According to some sources, each 959 cost Porsche $530K to make. This put them in danger of going bankrupt because they were selling the cars at half the cost. Porsche's accounting books were scary to look at because it was losing millions of dollars, but since it had promised the $225,000 price tag, it had to be kept. Thankfully, the car became insanely popular. Each single rich person wanted to get their hands on one because it was the latest hot thing on the market. Lamborghini and Ferrari sat back in the shadows looking at Porsche, which was selling its cars by the minute. The plan was successful. The 320 km/h car, which had a 0 to 100 record of just 3.7 seconds, shook the automobile industry globally. No car came close to its speed, and the most exciting part was that Porsche never even focused on making a fast car. They just wanted a high-end luxury vehicle that had all the features that no other car had, and they certainly delivered. The power steering, the built-in tire pressure monitoring system, and the spacious interior became its main highlight. On the other hand, the guys with racing DNA in their blood lost their minds when they saw the 959 drop its rear end and accelerate like lightning. The all-wheel drive system also put other cars to shame because the 959 could put 80% of its power on the rear wheels, deploying massive grip and sticking the road to the car without the fear of it losing control, even at high-speed corners. And the cherries on top were the beautiful hollow magnesium alloy wheels that gave the car a proper sporty look. Porsche only produced 292 cars for sale, and they went out instantly. Millionaires and billionaires rushed to get their hands on one, and they surely did. Bill Gates, Otis Chandler, and several other American tycoons became the proud owners of the 959. Unfortunately, due to some strict laws in the US, they could not enjoy the car immediately. Bill Gates bought the 959 in 1988 during the last year of its production, and back then, Porsche only tested the car's safety according to European standards and not the American standards set by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and Environmental Protection Agency. Therefore, they were not allowed to enter the US and be driven into the country. Finally, in 1999, Bill Gates and several other owners of the 959 convinced the government to develop a new specialized law that allowed them to drive the car and display it in auto shows. On August 13, 1999, the show or display law came into effect, and Bill Gates was given his car after 11 years of storage and the US Customs Foreign Trade Zones. To date, the Porsche 959 remains as one of the most legendary and unique cars ever built. Porsche came from the ground up to reincarnate the 911, and after its success, they took the huge risk of creating a new car based on the 911. Despite facing losses of over $70 million after they sold 292 Porsche 959s, they knew that the legacy they have created and the impact they have made on the luxury car industry was going to reimburse them soon enough. The story of Porsche today stands out as a powerful example that with determination, resilience, and a willingness to take risks, one can rise from near failure to legendary success. If you had the option, which one would you choose? The Countach, the Testarossa, or the legendary Porsche 959? Let me know in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you ask me, the Porsche 959 is definitely the car that I would choose. Peace.